Alex Rider is a teenage boy who lives in the United Kingdom and works for the Government Intelligence Agency, MI6. Alex's childhood and teenage years are unlike most kids his age. Instead of worrying about tests and papers, Alex was concerned with stopping assassination attempts, genocides, and many other terror acts that his foes schemed up. A huge part of Alex's unusual childhood is that his parents died when he was less than 1 year old, followed by the death of his uncle, his caregiver and only other living relative. Both of their deaths were assassinations and a major factor as to why Alex continuously works for MI6. His major goal is to understand who his parents were and avenge the deaths of his parents and uncle. I'm going to show that Alex Rider has no agency because of MI6. On the surface, Alex's agency appears to be completely unregulated. He has no parents to tell him to do chores, and his only caretaker, Jack Starbright, is just a few years older than himself. He is allowed to travel to many foreign countries, but it is often to risk his life. He gets to miss school whenever he feels like, but that costs him any friendship he makes. It seems that Alex has complete control over his agency, but it is actually being curbed constantly by MI6. Since he is always being sent on missions by them, he often has to lie about his absences from school, and that leads his peers to think he is weird and has problems at home. According to a study conducted in 2015, individuals with no friends were approximately twice as likely to experience internalizing symptoms and psychological difficulties in early adulthood. MI6 is curbing Alex's agency to make friends by always sending him away, which, as shown by the study, can lead to psychological problems as he gets older. This is a major curbing of Alex's agency, as MI6 has shown they would rather have a teenage boy with mental health problems than find an adult who is equally capable of doing the job. Stripping a child of their childhood is one of the most aggressive ways to curb their agency. Even when Alex is not directly under MI6 control, he is still regulated by their rules. He has to maintain his body at peak fitness in case of a mission, and he is constantly changing his appearance because of fear of being recognized, not his personal choice. All facets of his life are determined by the government. MI6 is the agency that controls Alex's agency. Another factor to consider is how the death of Alex's parents impacts his agency in both positive and negative ways. His parents' death allows him to do what he pleases when he pleases. No true adult figure looking over his shoulder is stopping him from making a stupid mistake like many teenagers do. On the flip side, the agency that Alex has in his home life led him to make the most irrational decision of his life in joining MI6. According to a study done in Bangladesh, a child whose parents died at a very young age is over 3 times less likely to reach age 10. Although Alex has beat the odds stacked against him to reach 10, the study exemplifies how difficult it is to grow up as a child without parents. Alex is stuck in between a world of adults and their politics, while trying to balance that with having a social life, schoolwork, and sports. He is eventually ripped away from all of these by work, injury, and need for vacation, and he doesn't get to experience childhood between the grief over his parents and then later on death of his uncle, which spurred him into working. Flynn argues that children and adults are not complete opposites, black and white, but a gray area where there are shared responsibilities with differences in culture. Alex does not fall into Flynn's argument. He opposes it by falling into the adult category. He takes on so many responsibilities that a teenager should not have to handle. In this way, it seems he has agency and is very mature, but because of the fact he is forced into these responsibilities, he is not acting on his own agency. He is a boy in an adult world, potentially unable to cope with the many traumatic events he experiences. The best advice Alex receives is from Yasin Gregorovich, a contract killer, who is the man that killed Alex's uncle. He tells Alex, "Believe me, it would be better if we didn't meet again. Go back to school. Go back to your life. And next time they ask you, say no. Killing is for grown-ups, and you're still a child." The man who killed Alex's uncle and was hired to kill Alex also seems to be the only adult who looks out for him in terms of wanting Alex to live his childhood the way it was supposed to go. Not even Jack, his permanent nanny, seems to realize that working for MI6 is detrimental to Alex's social, mental, and physical health. I find it interesting that the man who made Alex's childhood hell is also the one who spares him at the end of the book and tells him the best advice he hears throughout the series. Yasin actually disobeys direct orders to kill Alex to tell him this advice, and then disappears shortly after. He then reappears later in the series. Him and Alex strike up a relationship, where Yasin tells Alex more about his parents' death than he has learned before. Yasin plants a seed into Alex's mind that what he is doing is not healthy, and that maybe MI6 is not as friendly as they seem. He then divulges the information that he worked with Alex's father. They were contract killers side by side for the criminal organization Scorpia. This leads Alex to distrust MI6 and then go in search for his father's past. What Alex finds surprises him, but should not surprise the reader. He finds out that MI6 has lied to him numerous times about his father's past, his work for Scorpia, as well as his work for MI6. He had many cover stories, none of which were to be believed, and Yasin is the one who actually led him in the right path. This leads me to believe that Yasin is the only adult who actually promotes Alex's agency. He wants Alex to live the life of a child, to grow up and have friends, play sports, go to school. He wants him to see older age. Despite the good advice, Alex does not listen to him. Why would he? This is the man who killed his uncle and is claiming that his father was a contract killer working for a terrorist organization. He has no reason to believe him. This leads me to the conclusion that Alex Rider is just a boy, but he does not get to experience a childhood and have a social life, because his agency in life are ultimately curbed by the government agency MI6. I believe this is due to having no parents to watch out and correct his clouded judgment. Overall, it is unjust that Alex Rider never had the chance to grieve the loss of his parents and live a normal life. This is a direct stem from MI6 being the true antagonist of the book and movie. Thank you for watching.